Welcome to Everyday Longevity, where we share practical tips to help you live a vibrant, healthy life for as long as possible, matching your health span to your lifespan. I'm John.
And I'm Janice. In episode 3, we're talking about moving away from calorie counting to eating for health and satisfaction, sharing how we eat now, and giving you guidance to find what works for your body. Because, let's face it, one size does not fit all.
Segment 1, What We Used to Eat.
Let's start with how we used to eat. Hey, John, what did your meals look like back in the day?
I thought I was being healthy, but I was stuck in the low-fat, high-carb trap. For example, breakfast was often something like bran flakes with skim milk and possibly a banana or maybe some other berries. Lunch was often a turkey sandwich on whole wheat, no mayo, with something like baby carrots. And dinner for us was usually grilled fish or chicken, no skin, steamed veggies, and a small baked potato or brown rice.
And that baked potato did not have butter, but had mustard on it.
That's correct. But I found myself snacking constantly. Pretzels, because they were fat-free. Granola bars. Those 100-calorie Snackwell cookie packs. I was always hungry, low energy, and felt guilty if I ate anything which was off plan. I mean, I'd hit a wall around 3 p.m., dragging through the day. This way I'd lose a few pounds, but then I'd binge on weekends and gain it all back. It was exhausting.
Same for me. My breakfast consisted of fiber-one cereal because fiber was very important to me due to having colon cancer, topped with non-fat yogurt and berries. Lunch was mostly the same, some kind of salad with fat-free dressing or just vinegar and lemon. And after dinner, there were those trips to the local frozen yogurt shop to eat, yes, fat-free dessert. I was also obsessed with keeping calories under 1,200 a day, and my go-to was my FitnessPal, so I could track everything I ate. No way to live and enjoy life. It was very restricting. It was also a yo-yo plan with blood sugar spiking all the time. We had been told that fat was the enemy, and I had spent ages in the grocery store reading labels for the lowest fat options. Little did we know, sugar was the culprit all along.
Boy, oh boy. When we learned about no sugar, no grains, we learned that the body doesn't know the difference between sugar, pasta, or any other sort of carbohydrate and processes it in the same way. Even though we ate that way for many years, it never felt like a sustainable lifestyle. Sometimes we'd opt for the local gelato shop instead of fat-free frozen yogurt. Turns out that was a better choice as the fat slowed down the rise of insulin. What we eat now. Now, our eating is completely different and full of fat. For me, since introducing fat and taking out sugar, grains and junky carbs, I'm never hungry. We both start our day with a full glass of water to rehydrate the body, followed by a cup of coffee with a little bit of heavy cream. Janice drinks it black. And while taking in the morning sun, which contributes to good sleep. Then it's off to the morning activities of playing pickleball and of going to the gym. And our first meal is normally around 11 o'clock. And it's often eggs, half an avocado, maybe some arugula, smoked salmon, and a drizzle of olive oil. And after that, I personally can go 5 or 6 hours without even thinking about food. Maybe a little snack of some almonds, but that's about it. And this is a huge change from my old snacking habits.
My body's a bit different. I do like to eat something small 3 to 4 hours after breakfast. Like John, my breakfast is now more focused on protein, fats, and fiber from other sources rather than fiber-1 cereal. Keeping my health span as long as my lifespan, my choices now include things that keep both my body and my brain in good working condition. Food such as avocado is rich in monounsaturated fats and vitamin E, which studies show can support cognitive function and reduce inflammation in the brain, and I'm all about protecting my cognition. Sauerkraut, being fermented, has probiotics that help balance gut bacteria, which is linked to better mental clarity through the gut-brain axis. John, we could do an entire episode on gut health and how important that is.
Wow, that's actually a great point. And I think maybe something that we'll put into our plan as we move forward. Now, personally, I love staples like salmon, which is high in omega-3s, EPA, and DHA specifically. A 2020 study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that omega-3s can reduce inflammation and support heart health, which is key for longevity. Some other examples of omega-3 rich foods include seeds and some nuts. You know, we both avoid sugar, ultra-processed carbs, high fructose corn syrup, seed oils, and toxins. But how much we eat and when varies.
For example, for variety, on weekends we might have fried eggs, bacon, and keto seed bread. We talk a bunch about staying away from processed food, so let's touch on bacon for a second and inked keto seed bread, which is our favorite. I'm pretty freaky about the quality of food we consume. The bacon is from Applegate Organics. It is from humanely raised pigs with no antibiotics ever, hickory smoked, and no sugar. The keto bread is processed too, so we only indulge one day on the weekend. It feels like a treat and is very low in carbs and high in fiber, which nets out 1 net carb per slice.
Segment 3. Weekend eating and indulgences.
In the past, Sundays used to be a free day where we would eat whatever we wanted. It felt good at the moment, but we weren't doing ourselves any favors. Food is very emotional. The look, the feel, the smell, and the taste hit a lot of senses. It's a drug that makes us feel good momentarily. Oh, how our bodies longed for more fat in our diet, but we didn't know it.
Boy, isn't that the truth. Now our weekends feel indulgent without any regret, and it feels great to be taking care of ourselves. Something like a charcuterie board full of meats and cheeses and olives and other things is a great favorite. Amongst the cheeses, I'm partial to a sharp cheddar or brie, but my absolute favorite is Cambozola, which I can just gobble up in heaps. Some almond flour crackers, veggies, olives, nuts, all of these things are fantastic. When eating out, we tend to stick to grilled meats, and we often ask for extra veggies instead of fries, and we add olive oil for healthy fats. I don't feel deprived, just empowered. Janice, on the other hand, almost always orders a Caesar salad with chicken, no croutons. Laugh.
LOL, but lots of anchovies. So I love experimenting on weekends once in a while, like making a keto-friendly dark chocolate avocado mousse. It's really good with either stevia or monk fruit as a sugar substitute. The avocado's healthy fats support brain health, and dark chocolate, with at least 70% cacao, has antioxidants like polyphenols, also, again, supporting improved cognitive function. It's a treat that aligns with our goals of not spiking our blood sugar and is good for your body and mind.
Segment 4. Satiety. The real game changer, with data on ghrelin. Wait, let's not forget my keto cheesecake. Oh boy, is that yummy. I even get requests. Satiety has been a game changer for us, but it looks different for each of us. For me, it means not really thinking about food all the time.
For me, satisfaction is choosing foods that support my brain and gut, and I don't have to count calories anymore. So let's talk about ghrelin, the hunger hormone. A 2015 study in molecular metabolism showed that ghrelin levels spike after a high-carb meal, making you hungry again quickly, sometimes within an hour. But when you eat high-fat, moderate protein meals, ghrelin stays stable. Hey, John, I think we should talk a little more about dessert.
I'd love to talk about desserts. Well, we have dessert every night if we're home. It's no secret that I love whipped cream. We always had a can in the fridge. In fact, it became such common knowledge that friends, and I think some birthday party sometime, gave me a gift of a whipped cream dispenser. Pure whipped cream, that is, and typically we get the heavy cream from Costco. No sugar, not processed, and good for you. I like to make sure that it hasn't got any carrageenan in it either, because that's an agent, the chemical that they put in the cream to make it last longer and keep the shelf life a little bit better. I also like to mix it with a little organic mixed berries, and that's really the only fruit we eat now. And that's typically blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, and strawberries, and then topped with whipped cream and cacao nibs. Cacao nibs, which are a superfood with one of the highest contents of theobromine and antioxidants. We were in heaven.
Our meals are so satisfying now that our 16-8 intermittent fast is a no-brainer. That's what satiety does. It lets you live your life without food controlling you. A 2019 study in the Journal of Nutrition found that high-fat meals can increase satiety hormones like peptide YY by up to 30%, helping you feel full longer.
Segment 5. Common misconceptions with data on cholesterol. We often hear, isn't all that fat bad for your heart? You know, we used to worry about that too. But the data actually tells a different story.
Right. Because we were new to adding fat to our diet, I was concerned about heart health. So we researched and researched. We weren't going to do it without it. A 2016 meta-analysis in The Lancet found no significant link between saturated fat intake and heart disease risk. The real culprits are sugar, ultra-processed carbs, and seed oils, which drive inflammation. On cholesterol, dietary cholesterol, like eggs, has little impact on blood cholesterol for most people. A A 2019 study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition showed that eating up to 3 eggs a day didn't raise LDL cholesterol in healthy adults, and that the liver actually adjusts by producing less cholesterol, because cholesterol is produced by the liver.
And don't forget, not all LDL is bad. Small, dense LDL particles are more atherogenic, linked to inflammation from sugar and refined carbs. Healthy fats can improve your HDL and overall lipid profile. A 2020 study in Circulation found that replacing processed carbs with fats like olive oil increased HDL by 5 to 10% and lowered small, dense LDL. We'll dive deeper into cholesterol and statins in a future episode, but the old myths don't hold up. But a disclaimer here, we're not doctors and telling you what to do. We're just sharing our experience and why we eat the way we do. So always check with your doctor before changing any medications. Segment 6, practical tips for transitioning.
Okay, so let's share some tips for friends looking to eat for longevity. First, cut out sugar, ultra-processed carbs, high fructose corn syrup, seed oils, and toxins. Check labels. Sugar hides in sauces and snacks under many different names. Swap seed oils for olive or avocado.
Yeah, and focus on whole foods, good quality, grass-fed, and if possible, wild-caught, pasture-raised, and organic. It turns out that when food manufacturers took out the fat in our food, in order to make it taste good, they added more sugar and chemicals. Pay attention to how you feel after eating. If you're hungry an hour later, try more protein and fat. Typically, I eat till I'm not hungry, and this is what happens when you eat full-fat meals. Everyone's different, so experiment to find what works for you.
Some swaps I love. Instead of cereal, try full-fat Greek yogurt with nuts or seeds. It's creamy and crunchy at the same time and won't spike your blood sugar. I personally use pumpkin seeds and flax seeds. Swap pasta for zucchini noodles or spaghetti squash with olive oil and Parmesan cheese. Shop the perimeter of your grocery store only.
Well, I like using butter or ghee because real fats are better for you. Remember, when we would only use Smart Balance, smack my head. So we go one step further to make sure our butter comes from grass-fed cows. Start small. Swap your soda for sparkling water, or switch your breakfast to look a little bit more like lunch with greens, good protein, and good fats. Small changes add up. Segment 7. Why these foods work.
Let's break down why these foods support longevity, especially for brain and gut health, which I'm passionate about. Let's start with salmon or sardines, which we eat almost every day because it's rich in omega-3s like DHA. A 2022 study in neurology linked omega-3s to a 20% lower risk of Alzheimer's in older adults. And don't forget, Alzheimer's is now being referred to as type 3 diabetes.
And that's very important to remember. That's one of the most important things, I think.
DHA helps maintain brain cell membranes and reduces inflammation, keeping your mind sharp. For gut health, I include fermented foods. A 2021 study in Cell found that fermented foods increase gut microbiome diversities by up to 30%, which can lower inflammation and improve mental health via the gut-brain axis.
Hence the reason we eat the sauerkraut. So I love eggs and avocado for their nutrients. Eggs have choline, about 125 milligrams per eggs, according to the USDA. And this is crucial for brain health, and that supports memory, moods, and other things that in the brain function. Avocados are high in vitamin E, which a 2019 study in antioxidants showed can protect brain cells from oxidative stress. These foods help us avoid chronic diseases by reducing inflammation and supporting our body's natural defenses. We'll talk more about inflammation in other episodes, but one of the best ways to see how your body's doing is a simple blood test called hsCRP, or high sensitivity C-reactive protein. It measures inflammation levels and is something very simple that your doctor can order. You want this to be as low as possible, and ideally below 1 milligram per deciliter is ideal. And to give you an idea of how important this is, when I had my knee replacement, after surgery, my hsCRP was over 12, which was just way off base. And that showed me how much stress my body was under. So this test highlights risks for chronic health conditions like heart disease that may reduce your quality and length of life if left unmanaged.
And if you haven't figured it out yet, inflammation is the killer. It causes all sorts of diseases, including autoimmune diseases. So, it's not always the food itself, but what the manufacturers do to it to make it taste good and have a long shelf life. You know how long your product is on the shelves in the grocery store? It's crazy. By cutting out sugar, including things like agave, maple syrup, and honey, which is just another form of sugar, and seed oils, please, no more canola, safflower, or grapeseed oils. We are actually avoiding these toxins that drive inflammation. A 2020 study in the Journal of Clinical Investigation found that seed oils, which are high in omega-6, which we don't need, can increase inflammatory markers like your C-reactive protein by 15 to 20%. That's why we stick to olive and avocado oil. It's anti-inflammatory and supports heart health. Everyone's different, so try these foods and see how you feel.
Segment 9, close.
It ties into our mission, having an active lifestyle by giving our bodies the best chance to thrive and staying independent seniors for as long as possible by keeping chronic diseases at bay. Yes, a health span as long as our lifespan. And we'll talk more about sleep in our next episode because it's been a big part of our journey. And remember, we all have our own health bank, and every day you make the decision to either take out a withdrawal or make a deposit. And at 76 and 78 respectively, we are not willing to make any more withdrawals.
Correct. So we'd love to hear from you. Sarah, a listener, told us on Substack recently that she was a carb addict. She was having bread and pasta every night. But after cutting that out and cutting sugar out and other processed carbs, she found that she's more energetic, her sugar cravings have nearly disappeared, and she loves her full-fat food and no longer misses sugar.
What's a food you thought you couldn't give up? And how might you replace it with something that supports your longevity? Share with us on Substack or X. We're at Everyday Longevity.
Next time, in episode 4, we'll talk more about intermittent fasting, how it came naturally after switching to this way of eating, and how it helped us feel even better.
So thanks for joining us. Subscribe on Substack for free to get every episode. We're excited to keep this journey going together. Also, this week we are sharing a couple of our favorite sugar-free desserts, chocolate mousse and keto cheesecake. We will highlight these in the comments section of our Substack.
Here's to thriving, one meal, one day at a time. Thanks for listening.